Today's WorldNet Daily exclusive article is entitled How to Create a Brand New Dependency Class by me, Brent Smith. What do you do if you want to create a new dependency class in America? Well, you can do what the leftist progressives have done since the Great Society of Lyndon Johnson and his War on Poverty. You simply pay people not to work. You offer up assistance programs that, over the years, grow into entitlement programs. The people then get conditioned to not work while still collecting a check, so they begin to feel entitled rather than thankful to receive the free money. And after a period of time, you have what you've wanted, a class of people solely dependent on the beneficence of the government. And by the way, Johnson was able to do this by creating a crisis and calling the crisis a war on poverty. There was no actual crisis in the 60s other than the angst over Vietnam, but that had nothing to do with poverty. Johnson, being a sycophant of FDR, just wanted what all progressives want, more power and control, so he and his people created a phony crisis and then declared war on it. Now we have a real-life crisis at hand, and finally one of the idiot leftist Democrats admitted as evidence what we have been shouting about for so many years. Representative James Clyburn finally committed the cardinal sin of saying aloud what has gone unsaid, yet we all knew to be true, that the Marxist Democrats really do want to use any and every crisis, regardless of the pain and suffering it causes their fellow citizens as, quote, an opportunity to restructure things to fit our vision, unquote. And of course that vision isn't one of freedom and liberty, quite the opposite. It is, and has always been, an all-powerful central authority that controls every facet of our lives and charges itself with the care of its people, a la King George III. In other words, the polar opposite of the founders' vision of a small, relatively insignificant national government with a largely self-reliant citizenry. Part of this vision is creating yet another layer of dependency on government. And what is more perfect in this scenario? You couldn't script it better. First, by sheer happenstance, a crisis in the form of a horrible affliction drops out of the sky, as it were. Then it's perceived to be so bad that our government orders public and private businesses to close, for our own safety. Agree or disagree, that's not the point. Then the government steps in to save the day. They get together and come up with a brilliant plan to pay the people that they just forced into layoff not to work. The unemployed will now not only collect their full unemployment benefits they would receive under normal conditions, but an additional $600 per week from the federal government for the next 4 months. Now, if that's not an incentive not to work, please tell me what is. Once people discover this, there will be a growing portion of our society that will ask to be laid off. It's like deja vu all over again. Hat tip Yogi Berra. We're replaying the beginning of the socialism of the Plymouth colony before William Bradford got wise. The feds have taken away any incentive to work for a huge swath of society by literally paying people not to work. And not just the relative pittance that is welfare. This is real money we're talking about for a great many people. And 4 months may be just enough time for some otherwise productive citizens to get used to this new lifestyle. One might even call it a new normal. Old sayings become old and oft repeated because they are true, and this old saying fits the bill. Quote, if you want more of something, subsidize it, unquote. Hat tip, Ronald Reagan. America may regret this drastic action, and not just because of the massive additional debt it will accrue. Thank you for listening.